She left her phone on the counter. That never happens anymore. Not since she started locking it. Not since she started taking it into the bathroom. Not since the energy between us changed. It buzzed once. Just a quick vibration. I glanced out of reflex. I miss you too. Can't stop thinking about last Friday face-blowing kiss. That's it. I didn't touch the phone. Didn't open anything. But it didn't matter. It wasn't meant for me. And I didn't need context. She was in the shower. I could hear the water still running. I just stood there, staring at the message like it was written in fire. My throat went dry. My hands started tingling. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a cold, still silence inside me. We've been married 7 years. Together almost a decade. Bought this house together. Chose the paint on these walls. Fought over stupid things. Cried together when we lost my dad. I thought we were solid. Not perfect, but steady. 3 weeks ago, she started needing space. Started going for walks to clear her head. Changed her passcode. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But I gave her space. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Because that's what you do, right? You trust your wife. Now I just feel like the last idiot in the room who didn't get the memo. When she came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, she smiled like everything was normal. Her hair was wet. She smelled like vanilla shampoo. I didn't say anything. Not then. I needed to be sure. So I watched. That day, she got 3 other texts and took the phone into the laundry room to reply. That night, she said she was tired and went to bed early. I stayed up and scrolled through our photos, wondering which version of her was real, the one kissing me in front of the Christmas tree, or the one saying can't stop thinking about last Friday. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Next morning, I asked her plainly, "Who texted you last night?" She looked up from her cereal. Casual. "Just Emily. We're planning a spa thing." "You miss Emily?" She blinked. That was it. One blink too long. She knew. I knew. But she didn't crack. Didn't ask why I asked. She just stood up and said, "You're being weird." That was the moment I knew I wasn't crazy. That was the moment I started to wake up. Not in the Hollywood sense, no slamming doors or screaming. Just clarity. A quiet, cold kind of clarity. I didn't tell her what I saw. I just said, "Okay." And I started paying attention to everything. Where she said she was going. When she said she'd be home. What she wore. Who she smiled at on her phone. Because I needed the full picture. Not suspicion. I needed the truth. And now, I'm going to find it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The text wasn't just a mistake. It was the last missing piece. Suddenly, everything she said or did over the past few months lined up, and none of it lined up with me. That night, I couldn't sit still. I started going back through our shared calendar. She said she was at yoga every Thursday. But 2 of those nights, the studio posted updates. One was closed for repairs. The other had a canceled class due to instructor illness. She still went to yoga those nights. Then I checked our ring history. Front door camera. I scrolled back. The Thursday of the canceled class, she left in gym clothes at 6:40 p.m., came back after 10. No gym bag. No sweat. Full makeup. She didn't go to yoga. The next morning, while she was in the shower again, I opened her glove compartment. I wasn't proud of it. But I did it. Inside, a receipt from a hotel bar. Not recent, 3 weeks old. 1 drink, 2 appetizers, and something circled in pin, room 214. She had underlined it. That broke something in me. Not the cheating itself, but the confidence. The casualness. Like she'd done this before. Like she was getting better at it. I took photos of everything. Started a folder in the cloud. I didn't know why. Just instinct. Maybe I thought if I gathered enough, it would stop feeling surreal. That night, she was on the couch watching something on Netflix. I sat next to her, just watching her. She laughed at something on the screen, leaned her head on my shoulder. I wanted to believe that moment. I really did. But I could smell his cologne. Faint, unfamiliar. And it wasn't mine. The next day, I asked her where she kept her spare phone charger. She said, in the hallway drawer. I knew it wasn't. I opened her purse when she went to take a call. There it was, a charger, gum, small pouch, and a second set of car keys. Not hers. A different brand. Toyota. She drives a Honda. I didn't say anything. Again, I went outside later and checked her trunk. She wasn't home. There was a gym bag inside. It was new. Not the one I bought her last Christmas. Inside were a pair of heels, a blouse still with the tag on, and a small bag of travel toiletries. This wasn't a gym bag. Saturday morning, she left early, said she was going to grab coffee with Emily. Emily, the same one she supposedly missed. I texted Emily. We're friendly enough. Hey, just checking, was Jen with you this morning? I need to get in touch with her. Emily wrote back. Nope, haven't seen her in a couple weeks. Everything okay? I stared at that text for a long time. That was the first time I felt my chest go tight. Not just hurt, not just betrayed. Played. Like I was the cover story she used. Like I didn't even register as a variable. I was background noise in her new life. When she got back, she was smiling, full of energy, carrying a paper bag with a muffin. She handed it to me like nothing happened. I got your favorite, she said. It was the wrong kind. I looked her in the eye and asked, where were you this morning? Coffee with Emily. Why? I paused. 1 second. Just enough. She says she hasn't seen you in 2 weeks. Her expression didn't flicker. Not even a blink. She probably got confused. We met just briefly. I didn't stay long. Everything inside me wanted to scream. But I didn't. I just nodded. Okay. That was the moment I stopped looking for proof. Because I had it. All of it. What I needed now was a plan. She didn't flinch when I told her Emily hadn't seen her. She didn't get nervous. She didn't get angry. She pivoted. Calm, smooth, rehearsed. We bumped into each other at the coffee shop. I didn't actually sit down with her. That's probably why she forgot. She looked at me like I was the one being weird. Like I was overthinking. And for a second, just a second, I almost bought it. That's the worst part about being lied to by someone you trust. You want to believe them, even when everything is screaming at you not to. But something had shifted. That little voice in my head, the one I kept silencing, it wasn't quiet anymore. It was screaming now. And I started listening. That night, I told her I had to stay late for a project at work. I didn't. I sat in my car in a Target parking lot 3 blocks from our house and waited. At 7:12 p.m., she left home. Dressed nicer than usual. Hair done. No gym bag. No yoga mat. No dinner plans with me. I followed from a distance. She drove across town to a strip of condos near the lake. Parked. Sat in her car for a few minutes. Then a guy came out. Tall. Athletic. Late 30s maybe. He leaned into her car window and said something. She laughed. Then she got out. Hugged him. They walked in together. No hesitation. No looking over her shoulder. Like this was just what she does. I didn't get out. Didn't follow. I sat there, alone, gripping the steering wheel, trying not to break it. So this was it. Not one message. Not a mistake. A whole second life. A comfortable one. Confident. Polished. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She made coffee. Asked if I wanted to go hiking this weekend. I said sure. And started planning. Later that week, I picked up her phone when she left it unlocked for 30 seconds. I didn't need her passcode. Just timing. Went straight to her messages. There was nothing. Clean. Too clean. Every thread looked freshly deleted. No recent calls. No photos. But I knew something she didn't. I work in IT. And deleted doesn't mean gone. I backed up her phone to a private drive. Ran recovery software. And just like that, the screen filled with messages. Dozens. Some weeks old. Some days. Some from a contact saved only as M. M. Can't stop thinking about your mouth. Her. You'll have to wait until Thursday, winking face. M. I'm counting the minutes. Her. He has no idea. It's almost too easy. I stopped reading. My hands were shaking. I felt sick. Cold. Hollow. She didn't just lie. She planned around me. She used me. Used our schedule, my routine, my work hours, my trust as cover. She called me controlling once, during an argument. Said I monitored everything. That hit me hard at the time. Now I see it for what it was. Preemptive guilt tripping. She knew what she was doing. That night, I looked at her while she was brushing her teeth. She caught my eyes in the mirror and smiled. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled back. Because I had the truth now. And she had no idea. The messages had a rhythm. Always short. Late night. Intimate. Calculated. She used initials for all her contacts. M, J, C. I guess that was her system. If I ever looked, I wouldn't see anything obvious. But she slipped up. One photo, a selfie she sent, still had a file name in the metadata. I looked at the folder path. It had been saved in an autosync cloud folder tied to her email. I clicked through. One folder was named Matt, Thursday nights. Matt. Now I had a name. And a schedule. Thursday nights, when she was always at yoga. It all started aligning. Every Thursday, she left the house at 6:30. Returned around 10. Always relaxed. Always too tired to talk. I searched Matt in the recovered texts. He wasn't a secret hookup. He was a pattern. Consistent. Week after week. Matt, got your favorite wine. Room's ready. Her, you're spoiling me. Matt, can't help it. You're the best part of my week. Her, he doesn't even notice anymore. It's sad. He, that was me. I didn't even get a name. For days, I watched her lie without flinching. Thursday came again. She got dressed. Same fake gym outfit. Same gym bag with nothing inside. She kissed me on the cheek. Said she'd be back late. I followed her. Same building. Same unit. This time, I got out of the car. I stood across the street for almost half an hour. Lights were on. Shadows moved behind the blinds. At one point, I saw her silhouette. She laughed at something. I didn't go up. I wasn't ready. Instead, I called my friend Ryan. Lawyer. Trusted. Discreet. Told him everything facts only. He asked one question. Do you want to fix this or end it? I didn't answer right away. When she got home, I was already in bed, lights off. She climbed in beside me and whispered, "Missed you tonight." It almost made me laugh. She turned over and fell asleep in minutes. And I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she even remembered what honesty felt like. Friday morning, I asked casually, "How was yoga?" She didn't blink. "Great. We did extra stretching at the end." "I'm sore." I nodded. "Where does your instructor live?" She hesitated. For the first time. "Why?" "Just wondering. Thought about maybe trying it myself." Pause. "He just moved to Austin, actually. Not sure where." I thought her instructor was a woman. That was it. I didn't need more. Later that day, I printed out every message, every screenshot, every GPS ping, photos from outside Matt's place, the old hotel receipt, Emily's denial text. I didn't plan some dramatic reveal. I wasn't out for revenge. I just wanted the facts in one place, undeniable, unspinnable. Truth, printed in black and white. She could lie to my face, but she couldn't lie to paper. She told me she was going away with friends. A girls' weekend at a lake cabin 2 hours out. She even showed me the Airbnb listing, a cozy spot with floral couches and fairy lights on the porch. "Just Emily, Sarah, and me," she said. "You cool with that?" I nodded. Of course I was cool with it. Why wouldn't I be? That was Friday morning. She left after lunch. Small suitcase. Yoga mat. Smiling. But I wasn't stupid anymore. I didn't play husband of the year. I had a plan. Earlier that week, I'd installed a small tracking tag under the liner in her trunk. Nothing fancy. Just enough to give me updates. Not GPS, just Bluetooth pings when nearby, and geofencing triggers. At 6:14 p.m. Friday, the tag pinged in Dallas, not 2 hours out at the lake. She wasn't at the Airbnb. She never even left the city. I refreshed the app 3 times to be sure. Then I texted Emily. "Hope you all have a great weekend. Stay safe." Emily responded. "What weekend?" I waited, then asked. "Jen said you, Sarah, and she were going to the lake cabin?" 10 minutes passed. Then, "We're not. I haven't talked to Jen in a while." "Why?" I didn't reply. Instead, I checked the app again. Still Dallas. Central. She was downtown. I waited another hour, then drove out. She was at a hotel. 4 stars. Valet. Busy lobby. I parked across the street, sat in my car, and watched. At 9:31 p.m., she came out of the elevator, dressed like I hadn't seen her dress in years. Heels. Tight black dress. Hair curled. She met him outside. Matt. They kissed. Not quick. Not secretive. Like no one else existed. Then they walked hand in hand down the street. I didn't follow. Didn't cause a scene. I sat there and watched my wife live a different life. It wasn't rage I felt. It was emptiness. Like watching someone I used to know playing a role I didn't audition for. They disappeared around a corner. I drove home. When she returned Sunday afternoon, she smelled like hotel shampoo. She tossed her bag on the couch and sighed. God, we talked and drank wine for hours. I feel reset. I looked up from the kitchen. "That's great," I said. She smiled and walked right past me. That night, I updated the folder. Added screenshots from the tracking app. Hotel timestamp. Photo of her and Matt walking away. Everything went in. I wasn't waiting for a confession. I was building my exit. I used to think I was the blind one. Now I realize she counted on that. She didn't just cheat, she managed it. Carefully. Strategically. She knew what I noticed, and more importantly, what I didn't. After the hotel, I couldn't sit still. I kept replaying everything: Thursday nights, fake weekend trips, all the smiles that meant nothing. But what hit me hardest was this. If she was this confident, this comfortable, how long had this really been going on? I started digging deeper. I knew Matt's name. I had screenshots, messages, GPS logs. But something didn't sit right. He wasn't the only one. He couldn't be. Why hide all contacts under initials if it was just him? So I checked the backup again. Recovered more old threads. Some messages were fragments. Broken, incomplete. But enough to paint the picture. There was a J, a C. Then one stood out: Zach. He called her Jess. That wasn't even her name. Zach, that thing you do with your hair drives me crazy. Her, you're the only one who sees me like that. That line. It made my skin crawl. It wasn't physical. It was emotional mimicry. She told each man what they needed to hear. Became what they wanted. She mirrored them perfectly. I kept digging. She told Zach she was just out of a bad marriage. Told Matt she was still figuring herself out. Told Jay she wasn't ready for anything serious. It was a pattern. A persona for every man. The financial records told more. I went through our bank statements. Cross-referenced dates with her girls' nights and yoga weekends. A $300 charge at a men's clothing store. A $180 hotel bill. 2 Uber rides billed under my name, different cities, different nights. She was using my accounts, covering their expenses, gifting them things, with our money. And I hadn't seen it. It wasn't just cheating. It was strategy. I was the foundation she stood on to live another life. Suddenly I realized, maybe I wasn't just someone she lied to. Maybe I was necessary. Maybe I was the alibi. I called Ryan again, my lawyer friend. Hypothetically, I asked, what happens if someone uses marital assets to fund infidelity? He paused. If you can prove intent and misuse of funds, you're not just looking at divorce. That's leverage. I didn't want revenge, but I wanted it on record. I wanted the next part to be documented, legally clean, bulletproof. That night, I told her I was thinking about opening a shared investment account. She smiled, said, "That's smart. Planning for the future." I smiled back. Every word from her mouth sounded hollow now. But I played along. She had no idea she was walking into her own case file. Then, something changed. She started watching me, asking subtle questions. "You've been quiet lately. Are you okay? Work stress?" I gave her nothing. Just tired." I saw it in her eyes, that flicker, that small tremor. She didn't like not knowing where I was emotionally. Didn't like the silence. For years, she controlled the story. Now, I was a blank page. And it made her nervous. I started being more deliberate. Came home later. Left earlier. Didn't answer text right away. Made her guess. The more I pulled back, the more she leaned in. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't just about sex or attention. It was about control. She wanted the upper hand always. And now that she felt it slipping, I could see the cracks forming. She cooked dinner 3 nights in a row. Asked about my day. Smiled more. Laughed too easily. Fake. She was trying to pull me back in. Reinforce the version of herself she thought I still believed in. But I was done believing. I was watching. Recording. Building my exit. And she had no idea. That wasn't hard to find. I had his full name from one of the digital receipts she forgot to delete. His name on a hotel confirmation email forwarded to her inbox. She deleted it, but the backup caught it. I found his LinkedIn, his company, even his Instagram. He had a dog, posted gym selfies, and from the look of it, he had no idea he was sleeping with a married woman. I wasn't sure what I expected to find. Some villain? A player? He looked like a regular guy. Normal. Unaware. I waited another week. Gathered more. She left again on a Thursday night. Same excuse. Same dress routine. Same silence from me. I followed her to his place. Same street. Same building. But this time, I stayed. I waited until the lights went off. The next morning, I called in sick. Then I drove to Matt's company, parked a block away, and waited. When he came out around lunch, I walked up to him like we were old friends. Calm. Casual. "Matt." He turned, confused. "Yeah." I nodded. "You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. It's about Jess." He blinked. "Jess. My wife." His expression changed like a switch. Confusion to panic. "Wait. What?" I handed him a folder. Photos. Screenshots. Dates. Hotel receipts. One of her messages. He has no idea. He stared at it in silence. For a while. Then said, "I didn't know she was married." She told me she was divorced. I believed him. He looked sick, embarrassed, angry, but not at me. She said you were a controlling ex, that you watched her, that you were dangerous. That hit harder than I expected. I nodded slowly. She's good at that. He asked if she had done this before. I told him I wasn't sure until recently. Then I showed him names, dates, the web of it all. He sat down on the bench outside his office. Didn't say anything for almost 5 minutes. I thought I was helping her start over, he said finally. I sat next to him. She's not starting anything. She's collecting lives. You're one of them. So was I. He looked at me. What are you going to do? I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't sure. He said, you're not the first guy to come looking. That stopped me. What do you mean? She got weird last month. Secretive. I asked if she was seeing someone else. She swore I was the only one. But then some guy left a voicemail on her phone. Said she ruined his life. I felt everything tighten. So it wasn't just me. Wasn't just Matt. There were others, maybe more than I could count. Matt told me she said she couldn't have kids. Claimed she was infertile due to past trauma. That one hit like a punch to the chest. We had spent 2 years trying. She always cried after the doctor visits. Now I didn't know what was real. He also said she once mentioned someone named Eric, that he had been obsessed with her and wouldn't leave her alone. I had never heard that name in my life. But if this Eric existed, maybe he had a story too. We exchanged numbers. Not for revenge. Just in case one of us found something useful. Or if something happened. We both felt it. This wasn't normal cheating. This was calculated, sustained deception. I stood up. Thanks for being straight, I said. He nodded. What are you going to do? I said, burn it all down. Quietly. And I walked away. That night, I came home to a clean kitchen. She was making dinner. Some kind of pasta. She kissed me on the cheek. Asked about my day. I said, fine. She smiled like nothing was wrong. But something had shifted. And now I wasn't the only one who saw her clearly. I went into my office after dinner and added Matt's story to the folder. Started a new section, other men. I listed Zach, Jay, C, and now Matt. Eric would be next if I could find him. The truth was bigger than I thought. And if I was going to expose it, I needed it airtight. Not emotional. Documented. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was war. And I was finally playing her game by her rules. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. I lay in bed beside her while she breathed steady and deep, like a person with nothing to hide. But I knew the truth now. And truth has a way of making silence feel deafening. The next morning, I opened a new folder on my desktop. Labeled it System. Because that's what this was. Not a fling. Not a phase. A fully functioning operation. I pulled every phone log, every travel receipt, credit card statement, and message archive. I started building timelines. Cross-referencing names, dates, locations. By noon, I had tracked 5 men. Possibly 7. The patterns were clean. Thursday nights. Weekend getaways. Late meetings. Silent phones. She wasn't reckless, she was precise. And that precision meant this had been going on far longer than I ever imagined. Each man got a version of her. Different stories. Different tones. She wore different clothes with each one. Changed her voice. Her playlists. Her background stories. She adapted like a chameleon. One man thought she was into finance. Another believed she worked in design. She built a new persona for each of them and slipped in and out like it was muscle memory. And I started asking a new question. What else had she built on top of me? I checked our joint accounts, investment apps, her email inboxes, tax records, travel histories. I used tools I'd picked up from years in IT. Nothing illegal, just smart searching, recursive scanning, name variations, metadata. There were 2 credit cards I didn't recognize. One issued in her maiden name, another on a statement from a bank I'd never used. She'd hidden them well, routed statements to an old email. But they were active, both with charges, expensive ones. One had recurring payments to a short-term rental platform, under an alias. The other had transactions linked to a luxury apartment in a different part of town. I looked up the address on Google Maps. It was real, furnished, occupied, and the lease had been signed 11 months ago. I froze. Was she living a second life? I drove out there that same afternoon, parked 2 blocks away, watched the entrance. 2 hours passed. Nothing. Then at 4:42 p.m., she walked out. Hair done. Business casual. A tote bag. Not the woman who left our house that morning. She got in a different car. I checked the plates. Registered to a car rental service. So now she had another name. Another place. Another car. I followed her back to our neighborhood. She parked 4 blocks from home, switched shoes, put on a hoodie, and walked in like she'd just come from a jog. She even splashed a bit of water on her face with a gym towel before entering. I stood across the street and watched her do it. Watched her play the role. Again. Later, over dinner, she said her meeting ran long. She complained about her boss. She asked if I could help with a spreadsheet she just couldn't figure out. She laughed at something on her phone and told me we should plan a beach trip. I smiled. Said of course. Then I cleaned the dishes while she watched TV. Back in the office, I logged it all. Timestamped. Backed up. I exported everything into a secure drive labeled Phase 2. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't about love or loneliness. This was architecture. Layers of identity. Carefully compartmentalized. Intentionally reinforced. And I'd been the scaffolding all along. The stability she used to float above suspicion. I knew what Part 9 had to be. Not a confrontation. Not yet. It was time to start dismantling her system from the inside. Quietly. Thoroughly. Permanently. I waited for the right moment. Not out of fear. Not even hesitation. It was calculation. Everything she did was rehearsed, controlled, perfectly timed. If I confronted her too early, she'd twist it. Turn the spotlight back on me. She was good at that. So I kept smiling. Kept playing my role. The steady husband. The quiet one. The one who didn't know. But in the background, I kept moving. I printed documents. Made duplicates. One folder in a locked cabinet at work. One with my brother, sealed. I backed up everything, photos, logs, bank statements, video stills, into 3 separate cloud drives. Labeled. Encrypted. I even made a drive with no names, just evidence, in case someone needed it without knowing the context. This wasn't paranoia. It was protection. I knew her well enough to know how she might react when cornered. And I wasn't giving her any room to flip the script. She was too good at taking control of a narrative. I wasn't letting her write mine. Then, one evening, she slipped. A call came in while her phone was on the charger. I was passing the bedroom. The screen lit up. Daniel, round pushpin office. She didn't work with a Daniel. We didn't know a Daniel. And the round pushpin meant something. He was saved with a location. Probably where they met. I picked up the phone, stared at it, then let it ring out. She came in a minute later, saw the missed call. She froze. Not long. Just a beat. But I saw it. Not confusion. Not curiosity. Fear. Calculating fear. You okay? I asked. Yeah. Just junk. The lie was too fast. She walked into the bathroom. Closed the door. Locked it. I heard the shower start, though she wasn't undressed yet. The panic protocol. I'd seen it before. And now I recognized it for what it was. It was time. That weekend, I told her I had a work retreat. Left Friday afternoon. In reality, I checked into a hotel across town. From there, I launched the last phase. I used a prepaid phone. Sent emails from a masked account. One to her job, with the folder titled Alternate Identity. One to her sister. One to her friend Rachel. No words. Just attachments. Copies of photos. Screenshots. Bank records. Logs. And one more to Daniel. Pulled from synced contacts and backed up messages. I sent him everything. The fallout was immediate. By Sunday morning, I had 3 missed calls from her. 2 voicemails. I didn't listen. I went out to breakfast alone. Drove to the lake. Sat with my coffee and let the wind hit me. For the first time in months, I didn't feel trapped. When I got home that night, she was waiting. Pale. Quiet. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Like she hadn't slept. We need to talk, she said. I nodded. She started crying. Told me it wasn't what it looked like. Said she felt lost, that she'd never meant to hurt me. I let her talk. 10 minutes. Maybe more. Then I handed her a printed list. 10 names. Dates. Locations. Notes. Photos. Her double life, summarized in bullet points. I know all of it, I said. Every person. Every lie. Every version of you. She looked at the paper like it might catch fire in her hands. I can explain. Don't. She tried to reach for me. I stepped back. This isn't a conversation. This is notification. She blinked. Processing. Not because she didn't understand, but because she didn't expect this version of me. I'm filing tomorrow. Her mouth opened. Closed. Nothing came out. And if you try to fight it, if you try to spin anything, this goes public. Everything. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just said it. Calm. Flat. She nodded. Barely. I'll leave tomorrow, she said. And then, for the first time in years, she told the truth. I never thought you'd actually see me. I didn't say anything back. I just turned and walked into the kitchen, took the trash out, came back in. That night, I slept like a stone. The house was quiet the next morning. Too quiet. I woke up and for a second, forgot what day it was. Then I remembered everything. It wasn't a dream. She was gone. And everything that had felt like fog for the last few months, uncertainty, confusion, doubt, was suddenly clean-cut. I didn't check the bedroom. I didn't go looking for her. I just walked to the kitchen, made coffee, sat at the table where we'd once talked about weekend plans, paint colors, baby names. The silence wasn't loud anymore. It was honest. She was gone. Her keys, her car, half her clothes. What she left behind was calculated, just enough to look temporary. But we both knew it was final. She was always good at performance, even in exits. I didn't call her. Didn't text. There was nothing left to say. I wasn't interested in her last act. This wasn't about revenge or closure anymore. This was about peace. Instead, I opened the folder one last time, reviewed every piece. Not out of doubt, out of clarity. I needed to see it one more time to remind myself it was real, that I hadn't imagined it, that the person I loved never actually existed, at least not in the way I thought she did. There were photos, logs, receipts. Her handwriting, her aliases, her faces. 10 names. Maybe more. I stopped counting. I filed for divorce Monday morning. Clean. Straightforward. Everything was prepped. She didn't contest. The documents moved faster than I expected. We had no kids. No shared business. Just years of memories that meant more to me than they ever did to her. The judge asked if I needed to make a statement. I said, no. Everything's in writing. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment. Smaller. Simpler. Clean walls, new linens, no history. No reminders. No echoes of what used to be. The space felt empty at first. Then it felt neutral. Then it felt mine. In the weeks that followed, people reached out. Her sister apologized. Her friend Rachel was furious, for me, not at me. Said she felt used. Matt texted twice. He was still angry, mostly at himself. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I got a dog. Something small and quiet. He doesn't talk, doesn't lie, just sits with me while I read or drink coffee. We walk every morning at 6. That routine became sacred. It took time to stop checking the door, expecting her to come in. Took time to stop dreaming about her voice. Took time to stop rehearsing conversations I'd never have. But slowly, the air changed. The space stopped being haunted. My body stopped tensing at the sound of keys or footsteps. I started running again. Not to escape. Just to move. I went back to old habits, books I'd shelved, music I'd forgotten, recipes I used to make when I was just me. I bought fresh basil again. Started lighting candles at dinner, just because. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was performing. I didn't have to measure my words, check my tone, guess the temperature of the room. I could just be. I didn't realize how exhausting it had been, walking on eggshells in my own home. One afternoon, I ran into Rachel. She asked if I wanted to grab a coffee, just to talk. We sat outside a quiet cafe, and for the first time, I told someone the whole story. Not the timeline. The emotion. The disbelief. The grief. The numbness. Rachel cried, then laughed through tears. Said, I always felt like something was off, but she was so good at making you feel like you were the crazy one. I nodded. That sentence had lived in my bones for years. She hugged me. Said she was glad I got out. That night, I walked home under streetlights. The wind was warm. My apartment windows glowed like they belonged to someone who was learning how to live again. 1 week later, I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. The handwriting was familiar. Precise. Measured. Inside was a note. I didn't know how to be honest with you because I didn't know who I was. I'm sorry you paid the price for that. No name. But I knew who it was from. There was no apology that could undo it. No explanation that would make it make sense. I folded it. Burned it in the sink. Not out of rage. Out of closure. That was her last word. And I didn't need it. No more versions. No more rewrites. No more asking why. She doesn't get to narrate my ending. This story belongs to me now. The damage was real, but so was the rebuild. The pain was deep, but I'm still here. I survived her. And more importantly, I survived who I was with her. I found the man beneath the wreckage. And I liked him. And I see everything clearly. She doesn't fool me anymore.